Part 5. If only one could find no time. Poem number 1. Poetry to me is an experiment in the chemistry of living, an experience that freely cancels all past and future finds. Poets don't mind being wrong when nature chooses to change things round. Like when trees pretend at day to rise to empty skies, and then at night to hide in new moons dark. And soon a fuller moon arrives and branches shine, and sooner or later spring changes skeletal trees to lush and green, until winter solstice comes round yet again. Poem number 2. The poet shifts the world into park. In this still park, dark noise cancels and muffles silent blackouts, all of which bothers not. Birds chatter. Mind you, not a raging storm, not even cicadas call, nor crickets grumble dare interrupt the space that silence commands, and so punctuates. Poem number 3. When a poet settles into his silence, and all motives are put aside, when thoughts subside and intent is left to rot as plans and goals fall apart, when trees no longer care about growing and dying, while a lonely crow cries outside, when summer unfolds and explodes as cats and dogs hug the coolish ground, and summer lies and pretends never to end, then one may likely surmise there is hope around the bend. Poem number 4. Every poem read aloud is a poem singing with a soul, if and only when all the rest the poet designed find perfect respect. Rests are like the sure, sharp edges of a Romanesque cathedral, sharp enough to carve one's daily bread heaven sent. Poems like to be intoned like Gothic organs, accompanying and raising up each's chants. Poem number 5. To Harold Renish. Since you have freed me from the left margin, you forced me to lose whatever old thoughts thought. With sage's skill, you pushed me off the grammatically safe page to make fear rage and burn like the incendiary Spanish Inquisition. I dare no longer check your scribbling on my clear page. It's worse than plunging headlong off a mountain peak, and I dare not venture why. It took the horror of your pen to force me on all fours to shudder, with bare, now bloody knees. Off the page I had to go, dismantling every pretty picture frame, and my colors bled to where their art dried out. Poem number 6. My trash bin sits right close to my wooden kitchen table where I write poems close enough to dash away all my dumb stuff. Like E. E. Cummings, I may eventually see why trees sprout leaves in spring only to lose them in the fall, why squirrels gather nuts then hide them for the winter months. No one really says why so, why not, as the sun rises and sets on an ancient guaranteed schedule. And why do I, with simple eyes, scrunch my aborted poems in the bin? I am, I think, no different than the trees whose memories conceive their realities only to let them fall. Poem number 7. When my eyes have followed my heart into my deep depth, or when some holy song seeps into my soul at dawn, it's not the time for useless discourse or other aberrations that foolish minds conjure up. When the bloom survives the bud, when flowers die and seeds arise, I cannot help but marvel that I still survive. Summer rides high, spring sneaks in out of winter's ponderings that fall predicted. Poem number 8. Then. I've heard of some Sicilian proverb, or else I made it up, that says that death is the final hope. I sit at my kitchen table, contemplating what remains of this old and loaned and broken body. I cannot help but assimilate this autumn spectacle whose colors sparkle in noonday shine. Like me, all the reds and golds turn to browns in unbroken time, and leaves now scatter before skeletal trees. Once again, this train of change is right on time, and time would never dare to change what is now that surely goes to then. Poem number 9. Comes a sunny day, comes a rainy one, comes a day of snow and ice, comes night, comes day, comes a crow to finish off a skunk, comes a fog to blur the river, comes an unexpected drought, comes green hay, comes dry, comes clouds at red morning's light, comes the sun soon to set, comes an earthquake, comes rest, comes sickness, comes strife, comes a wind or comes none, comes the whip, comes the sword, comes a sunny day of accord, comes the why, comes the cry, comes the not, comes the fight, comes the yes, comes the peace. Poem number 10. The scene outside my window pane shifts and shakes like maple's leaves in autumn's wind, one day green and then chameleons transform before my very eyes. They change from where to what. It's day, it's light, and then there is night. Then is when I surrender all now to then. It reveals no big deal, just as when night disappears to day. Then is an apt way to commemorate in silent rapture all the antiquities that I have ever seen or felt, as frogs from tadpoles did, or moths from hairy worms. Cummings concludes, teach, disappearing also me, the keen, illimitable secret of begin. Poem number 11. A bird trapped in a cage is well fed and fat and mighty bored. A 4-foot fish in a 5-foot tank has eyes and lips sick and crossed, panting like a half-dead 90-year-old. My heart just broke. For so long now, my soul has been locked in the straitjacket I embroidered to cover up my soul. And just like that caged bird and trapped fish, I learned that I alone possess the keys to my me. Poem number 12. Day gives way to night, and all the 10,000 things merge into one black sight. Trees clothe themselves with shadows. Nightmares arise out of dreams, and I fall straight into some black ravine, hiding in plain sight. Poem number 13. Some days, like today, I have no warm feel in my stone-cold heart. Gods and angels hide behind thick thunderclouds that separate this land from that. When the sunflowers are all dead, it's then seeds come alive. It's then the blue jays come and gobble them up. Poem number 14. It's all a matter of time as I watch the hours pass without any punctuation to measure it out, not even a line break to take a breath. The minutes seamlessly grow to hours as the silent tick of time has nothing to celebrate about. It's just a black river flowing from now to then. This could well be the time of my life, as it cradles me in its relentlessness, as if it were a prison out of which I will never escape. So clearly I will need to bide my time, since I have all this time on my hands. It's a dark river that from time to time I try to get ahead of or behind. It's a race against time. I may be behind the clock or hoping to beat time to some imagined finish line. Sometimes my mind gets lost in some imagination outside of time, but I may arrive somewhere, all in good time. I think I really live on borrowed time as my mind wanders to some shiny things on the banks of river time as I try to beat the clock. Maybe in my race against time, I may at some point in time remember my first song and learn to row, row, row your boat. It really seems like I like to kill time as I lose the thread, no longer merrily, merrily flowing down the stream, to maybe recognize that life is but a dream. Maybe once in some blue moon on a Sunday afternoon, with yellow sun and green lining the banks where the sky is, beyond the blue, heading to indigo, I may ride the tide to wherever she goes. Poem number 15. Times are that wreak havoc on what we pretend to possess. Times are when some seed break through and rise to limited success. Times are when green turns white after night's unexpected frost. Times are when bold men surrender to life's bequest, and women too, with children at their breast. Times are when people gather and then scatter before the least unpleasant wind. Times are. Poem number 16. One mustard seed was said to be akin to a certain kingdom that I know nothing about. My unmastery of my garden reveals how seeds start to sprout in me with mother's eyes sit and watch. Seeds slow move in Aprils more than awkward that birds profit by, like a whole flock perching on what seems nothing on a very barren pasture. Maybe it's just because it's just one mustard seed that satisfies. Poem number 17. If at a careful moment, and all are easily such, no stars are expected to appear at noontime, and if no traveling birds stop to eat in your yard but sojourn in mine, and if snow does not fall in this dry winter sun, and if children play the day away unconcerned that spring might arrive at all, then all the poets in the world might find a brand of reality that science cannot. Poem number 18. Blunders that pretend. Now heaven may not be any place that mind conjures up. Any place might be just too mundane and last but for a shadow's breath. But some place of some heaven may still be found somewhere where one may not expect, but may rise before the sun dares, may even last a whole day or a whole night until some stupid blunder comes along the rocky road. So stumble may forget that heaven's not fled, not even hides from one's sight, like the ocean's view that one sees then doesn't, as wander takes one's mind away. It may all be a case of experience and experiment in heaven's game of hide and seek. Poem number 19. A Ship Called Mr. Joe. When people choose to disengage from me, or should I choose likewise, I become like a moored ship now freed from a secure dock. If this ship had had enough fuel and steam, it might have entered some deep channel, moving on its own to deliver its wares to some strange land. But if not, this Mr. Joe is at the mercy of wind and waves and the wiles of the unpredictable ocean that throws my me about. This ship named Mr. Joe is now rudderless and may soon find itself on some beachhead or sandbar where no help could ever be found. Like jettisoned trash in a promised land, it will likely get caught in some perpetual eddy, only to witness the same unattainable shore as it flounders helplessly about. This ship wanders at the will of the wind, or by currents hidden deep below, and so Mr. Joe sees nothing but obscurities, like endless, reckless dreams. The hull may well get marooned on the shallows and for centuries sit there with all its accumulated history consumed by ruthless time. The stoker now is cold as rogue waves ask for some response, but the shenanigans of carefree waters batter and cajole. Some distant future diver may discover this my dead treasure and excitedly bring her ashore to be cleaned up for some dead museum. Epilogue. There you have it, folks. I hope the reader has found some value in this poetry, which is really an expression of my heart, using my mind as a craftsman that has at least a modicum of experience on this production line of poetry. If any of you is interested, you may want to look at the first compilation of poetry, Shadows I've Seen. That book covers 30 years of my poetic adventure from my earliest days onward. In this volume, I would say that writing poetry has been an exercise in self-abandonment. I felt mostly that poems were created from access to silence and the birthing that occurs in silence. It has become clear to me that the idiom in which I write has been enhanced in this work. Although E. Cummings was my first mentor, I have attempted to let flow what flows without attempting to imitate him. I was attracted to his poetry because it was a clear expression of my own values about being human, about the world we live in, and about Mother Nature. I feel that each poem is truly a declaration of freedom from all the constraints that my own history and that of my culture offered to me. I did not lose sight of the fact that culture is the way we all survive, and therefore it is not something to be discarded as irrelevant. It is not. But on the production line of poetry, the poem steps off and sings in its own particular voice. The question that I have explored in this work is the nature of reality and how it is transient and fragile, as dew on the morning flower that we see, then we don't. I do not despise what there is in the world and in oneself. The fear of reality controlling one's perception and life is very real. Therefore, all is good. But each thing in its own place, and when the shadow extends to its nothingness, then that is so. There is one last poem left to read, hopefully aloud. It feels like a denouement of the entire book. Although I did not write these poems with the intent to create a comprehensive work in this thematic framework, I felt that it all fit together well enough. Thank you for reading. That is the highest compliment to this poet. The final poem. When certainty goes to uncertainty, and clarity gets clouded, as I reach a big fat blank, when the past resembles some distant dream that clearly fizzles out, when ifs end up as only maybes, and reality's fragility grips one's heart, when lack becomes one's daily fare, and maybes turn some strange corner, when disappointments never fail to cleanse the entrapments I've conjured up, then a new certainty is likely on its way. So I put one foot in front of the other until feet disappear, and I surrender to the empty sky.